Welcome to Joe's Astrology. Today is Wednesday, May 22nd, 2024. And I'm looking at the nodes of the moon in this video. And we're looking at the north node and the south node. I'm going to put a image on a screen. This is my chart. And this is the transit. So if you're interested in learning about transits, how transits work, and something that you may be overlooking or something new that you want to learn, we're talking about the nodes of the moon and the transits of the nodes of the moon. Actually, I also want to mention that there are nodes to all of the planets, that if you can actually chart all the nodes in your chart, and it's very interesting. There's definitely something more information there if you're looking for more information about your chart, and it's something that is very much overlooked in astrology. Now, with these nodes, what I'm about to describe, I don't think that it's the be all end all. You do have to look, as always, you have to look at the whole chart. You have to look at the person's life and see what's going on. But I'm going to mention kind of how I think it works in this video and how it played out in my life. And so we see here, the inner wheel is my chart, and the outer wheel are the transits. The down there in Aquarius, right around 8 degrees, you see the upside down horseshoe. That's the south node, and then across in Leo, the north node is the regular shaped horseshoe there. So we're looking at the south node. And the south node is known to be more of a malefic influence, like Mars or a Saturn transit. You can also see in this chart, Mars is also there above the south node in Aquarius, and it also this is going to be an example of what I mean by you have to look at the whole chart, etc. It can be very much more complex than the way I'm describing it here, because you can see Mars at the same time is going through that Aquarius sign where I have all those planets. And Mars actually went retrograde in about a month. It's not on this chart, but about a month from now it went retrograde. So it kind of hung out there near the south node. So you think of south node having this malefic influence, and Mars being there, it could be even worse than just maybe a south node transit. So if you're not familiar with transits, what I mean by that upside down horseshoe is going to go from the Mars there at 29 degrees Aquarius, and it's going to move through backwards, because the nodes move backwards through the wheel. And it's going to move backwards. It's going to hit the moon. It's going to hit Venus there at 13 degrees. It's going to hit Juno at 6 degrees, and then continue on through Capricorn. And then in the north node will be the opposite there, moving through Leo, backwards through Leo, and then into Cancer. Now you notice I don't have any planets in the seventh house there, or really anything except the north node there on the western side of the chart. Now all my planets are on the eastern side. So we're seeing the south node really coming to really the transit's really hitting all these planets. And this is what I want to emphasize. When you have say a south node, a chart like this, and you have a south node transit going through all of the planets in your chart, transiting all those planets, really emphasizing all of that. And you can even see my south node there at 12, it's at 4 degrees Capricorn. So my south node is kind of on this side with all these planets. When you have the south node transiting and emphasizing that, things may not go the way you have planned. And it's important to remember that if you do have some ideas about how your life should go, or planning your life in a certain way, they may not go the way you have planned. And if you could see it, this chart here, for example, if I was thinking that great things were going to happen to me in the next, it takes about a year and a half. I think it's a year and a half for this node to go through the sign. And so we're looking at a 3-year process here that's really hitting all my planets. And then even it's going to be, really it's a 5-year 5 to 7 year. If you think of it's going from that 29 degrees Aquarius all the way up to that Pluto passing through the 10th house, and I can tell you that it was a rough 5 years. It didn't have to be as rough as it was, which I'm going to get into. But if you have a South Node transit going through a chart like this, and you think that great things are going to happen to you, and you're ignoring your issues, you're uh, ignoring reality, then that South Node is going to do some damage. Now, I also will say that if you are really pushing for great things to happen, and you're ignoring the energies of the South Node, you're ignoring this, and you're really pushing forward. Think North Node. North Node likes to push forward, likes to move forward. It's a fruition node. Usually, it's associated with expansion and good things happening to people. When people have planets conjunct the North Node, usually things are happening for them. When they have planets conjunct the South Node, it's usually a feeling of being stuck or frustrated. Just a little side note, that does not mean that your whole life is going to be a disaster. However, the point I'm trying to make is that if you think things are going to be moving forward in this time, during this time, and you're pushing hard to move forward, you are going to have a hard time. Now, that doesn't mean that you can't overcome these energies. I do think if you're set up for it, if your life is set up for that, you can still make some progress during a South Node transit. But the majority of people are not going to experience it that way. So let's take a look at my life, what was going on here. Now, during this time, I was aware of astrology, but I wasn't as adept at astrology as I am now. And I went through this was the spring. So when spring hit and the sun went through Aries, I really felt the need to assert myself and really attack the world and go off into new adventures, a mission, if you will. And I pursued that hard. And I ignored the fact that the South Node was going to start moving through Aquarius, and I ignored the fact that Mars would have went retrograde there, and I put myself in a situation where I didn't have a great foundation. In fact, I had no foundation. Basically, was the Fool card in the tarot, stepping off the cliff with my little bag. Like, literally, that's what I did. I'm not going to get into details, but like literally, you can think of like the Fool card, the picture that the Fool card exemplifies there. That was me. And that is something that you don't want to do when you have the South Node going through the planets in your chart, and then Mars retrograde as well right there. But specifically just the South Node. The South Node. And the reason why I think that that's not something that you want to do is because of that idea that you have no foundation, you have no backup when things go wrong, you have no one to help you, you have nowhere to go, and that's how you end up homeless. So that's an extreme example. But another thing I wanted to really point out here with this is the idea that, ignorant people of astrology, people are ignorant of astrology. They may go through life thinking positive all the time. They think this is going to be the year. This is going to be the month. The new year comes. This is the new year. And then they go to the gym and then they drop off, right? And they're really ignorant of astrology, and they don't know where the planets are. And then you have those people that are like, oh, I don't believe in astrology, etc. And they do the same thing. They're like, this is my year, etc. But then they push through, and then if you ask them to reflect on it, they're just super positive regardless. But if you really look at their life, nothing really happened. And it was a boring year. And those people usually do have a good foundation. Many people, in fact, here I'm talking about the United States, have a really good foundation. So when they go through these transits, they just live a boring life. Nothing really happens, maybe some annoyances. And this is part of the reason why they don't believe in astrology, because they never take any risks in life. You can think of the person as a 9 to 5. They're married, they have a couple kids. They might experience their kids having issues because the kids just coming into life they have them as a foundation, but they don't really have a foundation for their life. They don't understand their life yet. They're having issues. And that may be how the South Node plays out in their life, because their life is so consistent and grounded that nothing really is going to happen to them, but it might be someone else in their life that it's happening to. And I'm not suggesting that everyone go and do this because, as I said, it's a boring life. It's, these people don't really learn much. They usually learn through other people. It is what it is. I'm not really making suggestions that anybody do anything really. But most importantly, but to be aware of these transits. So, for example, if you go back to what I did that year, if I would have been aware of this, I would have, first of all, I would have maybe decided not to do this at this time. That's one thing I made. And then, actually, someone like me, I still would have went through with it, but I would have made better decisions. I would have maybe put myself in a better position to withstand the storm that I was going to go through. Now, I don't know that I actually could have done that because I was unaware, but if I was aware, I'm just speculating here, no regrets. If I was aware, as I am now, I would have delayed this adventure, and if not, I would have been better have prepared myself for this. Or at the very least, I would have been not a surprise when shit hit the fan. Because I was surprised and I was angry. Mars, right? Mars, South Node, angry. I wouldn't have been as angry. I would have been more prepared. I would have made better decisions. Now, the North Node, you can see right now the North Node in my chart is down there. The North Node is currently in Mars. So now I'm anticipating a North Node effect going through that chart in the next 10 years. And the South Node on the other side of the chart where there's no real planets. So I'm still think, still planning, etc. But I mean, maybe you think you can just wing it and get away with it because the North Node's going through through that side of the chart now, and that's possible. You could do that. But my main point in this video is to just the awareness of this transit and the awareness of transits in general. It's very easy to follow once you understand it. It's not difficult. It's harder to get the whole picture because it's easy to have a tendency to just focus on one thing. Like in this chart, focusing on the South Node and just forgetting the fact that Mars is going to go retrograde because maybe you're just looking at this chart in isolation. You don't know that Mars is going to go retrograde. You're not looking ahead. Then the idea of combining all the planets and where they are can be very complex. Even in this chart, you can see Venus on the North Node in the 6th house. There's some opportunity there during that time, for sure. And this is where we see people have issues. They have problems. It's not always easy for them. You have this dialectic, this opposition. You got some opportunity, and then you have some struggle, some difficulty, something that you have to work through. And this is just resembling life in general. If everyone knew the formula to success, then just if there was a general formula, then many more people would take that path. But there really isn't a formula that everyone can follow. There's some principles, some guidance that you can, maybe some general success over a long period of time. But the quick, even here, I thought I was going to be successful with what I was doing. Venus on the North Node. And I didn't realize the things I would have to overcome in order to get there. I still could have got there, but I didn't realize that it was going to be difficult. So I think I'm going to leave you there with that. Now that if you're watching this video, which it's probably not, maybe it's not that popular, but unfortunately people aren't that into astrology. I know many people right now that are going to hit a wall because they're unaware of this, and they live in La La Land. So hopefully this helps you with your life, and hope you enjoyed this mini explanation of the South Node and North Node transits in astrology.